What follows is not a celebration of corporate success. It is a forensic examination, a clinical dissection of an industrial execution. We are going to analyze the strategy, the physics, and the psychology that allowed a company once considered a walking corpse to seize absolute control of the single most critical component in the entire AI revolution. We begin with an anomaly, a number that simply should not exist: 40%. In the semiconductor memory sector, an industry defined by the brutal, predictable physics of commodity pricing, a 40% operating margin is a structural impossibility. You have to understand, this isn't a market of unique, high-margin products. It's a battlefield of mass production governed by vicious boom and bust cycles. It is a race to the bottom. So this number, 40%, represents a fundamental deviation from the laws of this market, and that demands a rigorous, first principles investigation.
Our analysis will proceed in 5 distinct phases. First, we'll trace the subject's improbable resurrection. Second, we'll dissect the war of physics it waged and won. Third, we will analyze its codependent relationship with the market's kingmaker. Fourth, we'll conduct a post-mortem on the incumbent's fatal error. And finally, we will assess its current and very precarious position in a new geopolitical equilibrium.
To understand the present, we first have to exhume the past. The strategic logic of SK Hynix wasn't forged in a comfortable boardroom. No, it was forged in a decade of humiliation and existential crisis.
From 2001 to 2011, Hynix wasn't a sovereign company. It was what we call a debt zombie, an industrial asset managed by creditors whose only goal was to get their money back. For a technology company, that is a death sentence. R&D is starved, capital expenditure is frozen. The focus isn't innovation, it's liquidation value. Your engineers work under the constant threat of the company being broken up and sold for parts. This decade of humiliation burned a terminal inferiority complex right into the corporate psyche, the perpetual state of being number two.
This prolonged state of desperation created a fundamentally different engineering culture. While the market leader, Samsung, cultivated an Ivy League environment of elite, process-driven perfection for mass markets, Hynix spread street fighters. Theirs was a culture of survivalist engineering. It wasn't focused on dominating the current market, but on finding a single asymmetric vector to survive the next one. This DNA, this institutional memory of near death, is the key variable. It explains everything that follows.
So, SK Group acquires them in 2012 to widespread market hostility. Then, a pivotal event: Chairman Chae Tai-1's incarceration. Now, this must be analyzed not as a liability, but as a strategic isolation chamber. Removed from the quarterly pressures, the market noise that paralyzes Western CEOs, he could focus on a 10-year technological horizon. The decision to go all in on the high-risk, low-volume niche of high-bandwidth memory was a direct result of this prison cell decision-making. But why did this work for them? Because only a company with that street fighter DNA, a company that had already stared into the abyss, would even consider such a suicidal bet. A comfortable market leader would have dismissed it as an expensive distraction. SK Hynix had nothing to lose.
This street fighter psychology, forged in crisis, uniquely prepared the company to wage a war that wasn't about market share. It was about fundamental physics, specifically the physics of heat.
For decades, computing has been running into a physical barrier known as the memory wall. A processor can perform calculations at blinding speed, but it's constantly throttled by the time it takes to fetch data. It's a traffic jam. HBM solves this by stacking memory chips vertically, creating an ultra-wide highway for data. But this solution runs headfirst into the second law of thermodynamics. Every computation generates heat. When you concentrate those computations in a vertical stack, you create a thermal crisis. The center of the stack becomes a furnace, hot enough to physically destroy the chip. The primary antagonist to performance isn't competition, it's entropy.
Now the competition, Samsung included, pursued a logical path: thermal compression non-conductive film, or TCNCF. This means placing a film between each chip layer and applying heat and pressure. It's methodical, but it creates microscopic voids and structural stresses that trap heat. SK Hynix took a radical, much higher risk approach: mass reflow molded underfill, or MR-MUF. This process injects a liquid epoxy-like material into the gaps between the chips and hardens it all at once. This creates a solid, void-free structure that acts as a highly efficient thermal conductor, wicking heat away from the core.
The outcome of this engineering decision was not incremental. The MR-MUF process resulted in a 36% improvement in heat dissipation efficiency. It didn't just make a better chip, it made a more manufacturable chip, one that could scale to higher stacks without warping or cooking itself to death. They didn't win the marketing war, they won the thermodynamic war.
This technical victory, however, required a financially suicidal commitment. Industry reports indicate that initial yields for their HBM were as low as 10, maybe 20%. Think about that. For every 10 chips produced, 8 or 9 were being thrown away. To sustain this, SK Hynix subsidized the entire program with profits from its legacy business, absorbing billions in losses. It was a kamikaze mission to secure NVIDIA's business. But again, why were they able to make this decision? Because a company that has already survived a decade as a debt zombie has a fundamentally different relationship with risk. A comfortable market leader could never get a budget approved for a product with a 90% failure rate. For SK Hynix, financial ruin was a familiar adversary.
This victory in the thermodynamic war led to the formation of the most critical relationship in modern technology. And let's be clear, it's not a partnership. It is a state of mutual dependency, a codependent monopoly. The reality today is this: NVIDIA cannot achieve its AI ambitions without SK Hynix's HBM. And conversely, over half of SK Hynix's high-margin revenue is now dependent on NVIDIA. This has created a mutual hostage situation, where the world's most valuable chip company and its sole critical supplier are completely, inextricably linked.
You see, the switching cost for NVIDIA is not measured in dollars. It is a total system re-engineering barrier. The HBM module isn't some plug-and-play component. It is co-engineered into the very physics of the GPU. Its thermal profile dictates the entire cooling system. Its power requirements dictate the power delivery network. Its unique behavior is hard-coded into the software stack. To switch suppliers would require NVIDIA to re-engineer its entire Blackwell architecture from the ground up. That's a multi-year, multi-billion-dollar process.
So why did this symbiosis form so tightly? It's because SK Hynix made a deliberate choice to defy industry norms. The memory industry is governed by JDEC standards, which exist to ensure interoperability and commoditization. SK Hynix bypassed this. They co-developed bespoke HBM specifications directly with NVIDIA, creating a proprietary lock-in. They weaponized customization to escape the commodity trap that had plagued them for decades. This was a direct reaction to their near-death experience. They decided they would never again be a faceless, replaceable commodity supplier. To fully understand SK Hynix's success, we have to perform a post-mortem on its rival's failure. This wasn't a simple mistake, it was a rational but ultimately fatal error in judgment by the undisputed market leader.
In 2019, Samsung Electronics disbanded its primary HBM development team. The rationale was that the technology was too niche, the volume too low, the cost too inefficient. This single data point is the epicenter of the largest strategic failure in the recent history of the semiconductor industry.
So why would a rational, dominant company make such a decision? The answer lies in what you could call the tyranny of the majority. Samsung's corporate machine was a finely tuned engine for one thing: producing standardized, high-volume products like DDR5 RAM with maximum efficiency. HBM was the exact opposite of this model: low volume, high complexity, requiring bespoke customization. The organization's immune system, which was optimized for mass production, identified this niche technology as a foreign body, an inefficient, low-margin distraction, and it simply eliminated it. And this leads us to a crucial axiom for this modern industrial era: efficiency is the enemy of adaptability. Samsung's monumental scale, its greatest strength in the commodity market, became its fatal liability. It made the organization too rigid, too efficient at its core business, to pivot into the high-complexity future of AI. They were simply too good at what they did to see what they needed to do next.
SK Hynix now finds itself as the gatekeeper of AI. But this victory has placed it at the center of a fragile and very dangerous geopolitical chessboard, forcing it to balance between global superpowers.
To navigate this chessboard, the company is making significant strategic moves, particularly on American soil. It's announced a $3.87 billion investment in an advanced packaging plant in West Lafayette, Indiana.
Now, this plant should not be analyzed as a simple business expansion. It is a piece of geopolitical arbitrage. It's an insurance policy. By embedding a critical piece of its most advanced manufacturing into the American semiconductor ecosystem, SK Hynix makes itself indispensable to the objectives of the US CHIPS Act. It is, in effect, a self-taken geopolitical hostage, meant to guarantee its access to the American market and hedge against a full-blown US-China decoupling.
And this brings us to the final assessment of their position, the golden cage dilemma. First, there's the extreme concentration risk of their dependency on NVIDIA. Second, the existential threat of ASICs, custom chips from Google, Amazon, or Meta, designed to circumvent HBM standards entirely. And third, the China trap. SK Hynix still operates massive legacy factories in Wuxi, China, leaving it brutally exposed, caught between American sanctions and Chinese retaliation. Its monopoly is powerful, but its foundations are precarious.
The final analysis is stark. SK Hynix executed a perfect asymmetric strategy born from pure desperation. But their story serves as a clinical warning. In the new industrial landscape of artificial intelligence, dominance is absolute, but it is also provisional. The distance between king and corpse is now measured in nanometers, in degrees Celsius, in a single manufacturing process.